All right, stand by. 10 seconds.
camera,
to go. Count.
Ready, camera,
Roll for record.
3, 2,
One.
1, roll for record.
We've called Hillary Clinton a lot of words, but a gang of her most rabid supporters have now issued a list of words that you can't call her, or else. I'm John Phillips, and this is The Rundown. New York Times reporter Amy Chozick tweeted out the warning she got from a group called HRC Super Volunteers, saying it would be coded sexism to call Hillary Clinton polarizing, insincere, out of touch, or a bunch of other things. Let's go ahead and take a look at the full list. Polarizing, calculating, disingenuous, insincere, ambitious, inevitable, entitled, overconfident, secretive, will do anything to win, represents the past, out of touch. This is silly, but it's also the ultimate example of one group labeling political speech they disagree with as some type of hate speech to silence debate and control media coverage of their preferred candidate. Joining us from Dallas, Texas is author and political satirist Scott Ott. And joining me here in warm and sunny Southern California, stand-up comic and PJTV contributor Stephen Cruiser. Scott, let's go ahead and start with you. I love it when the left puts out a list of words. They do this at college campuses all the time, and they say, you can't say these words, and if you do, you'll get in trouble. And they did it to, of all people, a reporter for the New York Times. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I guess I'm a little stumped because I'm a professional writer, and I don't like to repeat the same words over and over again, so I'm always looking for synonyms. And if you put that list up there, you'll see that practically every synonym that I know of for the word politician is off the list. I can't use any of those anymore, apparently. You know, I don't know what they have to do with women in particular, or with Hillary. I think that they could apply to a lot of people. You know, it's almost like the left needs to publish an anti-dictionary. You know, the dictionary has a list of all the words that you could possibly use. The left should come out with the anti-dictionary that would give you a list of all the words that you can never use. This is just, it shows the hypocrisy of people who will, on the one hand, say, you know, we have the freedom of speech. We should be able to say whatever we want. There's no such thing as being, unpatriotic when you're criticizing any administration. And yet, for some reason, they want to control the very language that you can use to do that criticism. You know,
Cruiser, I'm having a flashback to cruiser control.
Yes.
Because one of the things that we learned in 2008 from MSNBC is that there were all these dog whistles. You watch Chris Matthews, dog whistles about racism when you're talking about Barack Obama. If you say something negative about him, you're not actually attacking his policies or his competence or his resume. You're attacking him because of his race. They're doing the same thing here, except they're doing it with gender, aren't they?
Yes, and I actually wrote an article, a post at the Daily Caller last May talking about this, that this is what the press was going to do. This is what her media machine was going to do. They were going to give you a list of things that you could not say about her. It was called The Pantsuit Privilege of Hillary Clinton, if you want to Google it. And I was talking about all of the things you weren't allowed to talk about in regards to her, and that it was only going to get worse because her media machine is still formidable even in this day and age. But I'm serious about this, and a lot of people don't take me seriously because they think I'm always joking. But as someone who's made a living his entire adult life speaking freely and speaking sometimes offensively, I think this arbitrary assignation of wrongdoing or sometimes criminality to words is one of the most dangerous plagues in American society right now. And it's really getting out of hand, especially in this administration right now, where we label, this can be labeled hate speech, and it really is arbitrary. It's a bunch of people who you probably wouldn't trust with your manual can opener doing this. And it's really a cancer in a society that was built upon the First Amendment, to have it just being this is gutting the First Amendment, is what it's doing, because it's also telling the press what to say and what not to say.
You know, Scott, before Hillary Clinton gets her way to the general election, she's got to win the primary. And one of the people who could theoretically run against her in the primary is Elizabeth Warren. And I have a feeling that if Elizabeth Warren decides to run against her, she might be using some of these words against Hillary Clinton. Would she then be a self-loathing female?
Well, again, I don't see what it has to do with women at all. And I think that these people are trying to essentially, shift the old Overton window to say now any sort of criticism of any female politician is de facto sexism. And I think that we don't we will not be sucked into that. I think the greatest tribute that you can pay to a black president or to a female presidential candidate is to criticize them with the vigor and the full force of language that you would use for any other politician.
You know, Cruiser, we're going to ignore it in the conservative media,
Yes.
certainly here at PJTV. What's the reaction going to be to this from the New York Times, from the LA Times, from the Washington Post, from MSNBC, from the left side of the spectrum?
If they decide that she is their best bet and their inevitable candidate and their presumptive nominee, they will heed the warning. If they decide too old, maybe we need someone more progressive, they're going to keep going with this, and they're going to keep reporting on the email thing too. I think it's all going to be based upon that when it comes to the left media. And the right media, you're right, you need to keep using the words they tell you not to use. As Andrew Breitbart famously said several years ago at CPAC, he said, "I'm buying a dog whistle factory and giving each one of you a dog whistle." But this gets to a larger thing with Hillary Clinton that drives me nuts. This powerful feminist icon here is the essential message from her campaign is you need to give her special treatment because she's a girl. That is the underlying, that's the implicit theme of this campaign right now. You have to be nice to her because she's a girl. She's this powerful, just ultra-modern woman, but she's a girl. Be nice to her. She's a girl.
Well, you know who got in trouble for
Can I
this?
just add, John?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, can I just, I just want to go on record as saying that I think Hillary Clinton and her supporters are a bunch of sissies and pansies and panty-waist little wusses.
Uh-oh. That's Scott Ott, by the way, 2 T's and Ott, in case you're thinking about emailing him. Now, you know who got in trouble for this last time around, or 2008 actually? Remember after the South Carolina primary where Bill Clinton said, well, of course Barack Obama is going to win the South Carolina primary. There's a huge black population there, and he's the black candidate, so that's to be expected. And the left came after Bill Clinton, the first black president, and they called him a racist for saying that publicly. Now the Hillary Clinton campaign is trying to get ahead of, of similar attacks or of negative coverage by doing the same thing that was used against Bill.
And that's a perfect example of just how insidious this is, because they were doing something. The Democrats are hyper obsessed with ethnic and racial voting blocks. That's the way they view all of America. But for one of the most prominent Democrats still alive today to say, well, this one voting block that we know is in play there, then suddenly he's a racist for doing it. Because this is just so whimsical. It's to suit whatever they want that day, and that's why it has to be stopped. That's why it has to be combated, because this is just going to go down an ugly path.
Here's my theory on this, Scott. One of the reasons that Barack Obama was able to win 2 elections was he did motivate minority voters to come out and vote in record numbers. Hillary Clinton is old news, though. I don't know if that's one of the words that we can't use. And I think that they're very worried that they're not going to be able to motivate women to come out in large numbers and vote for her the way that Obama was with minority voters. So they need to create this tribal conflict. They need to create this us versus them narrative that will get women to think that they're behind the 8 ball because of the white guys.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange dynamic, because essentially what they're saying is that in order to become the most powerful person in the world, we need to portray her as the biggest victim in the world. We must show that she is under assault, that she is being attacked, that she is being diminished, so that she can become the commander-in-chief of the United States of America. I don't think it's going to work, frankly, because I think you're right. It's not an age thing. Her whole mentality is old. It has nothing to do with her biological age, and she has that entitlement mentality. She really does have this sort of what they used to accuse Bob Dole of having, that it's Bob Dole's turn. Well, I think she thinks it's Hillary Clinton's turn, and she's going to be starkly surprised. Watch out for Martin O'Malley.
All right, Scott Ott gets the last word, but now it's your turn. What words would you like to call Hillary Clinton? Be careful. No coded sexism. No bad words. You'll make Scott Ott cry. Don't do that to this poor man. I'm John Phillips. Thanks so much for watching The Rundown.